So I want you to picture a continent, right? One that's bigger than the entire United States, but it's buried under a sheet of ice that's, in some places, 3 miles deep. That's Antarctica. It's one of the most hostile places on Earth. But beneath all that ice lie some of our planet's greatest and honestly strangest secrets. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This idea that this huge, empty-looking place isn't empty at all, that it's hiding something incredible. You hear all kinds of theories, about hidden worlds, maybe even aliens. But let's talk about what scientists have actually found down there. And just to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, that's the maximum depth of the ice, 5 kilometers. That's about 3 miles straight down. Can you just imagine what could be perfectly preserved at the very bottom of all that? Oh, and the cold is just unbelievable. Temperatures can dive down to minus 90 degrees Celsius. That's minus 130 Fahrenheit. I mean, that kind of cold makes life on the surface pretty much impossible. But it also creates the absolute perfect conditions for preservation. So you see, this incredibly harsh environment is also a perfect time capsule. Anything that gets trapped in that ice can stay there completely unchanged for millions of years. Which leads to the big question, what has it been holding onto this whole time? Okay, so first up, let's look at what the ice can tell us about our own planet's history. Because, and this might surprise you, Antarctica wasn't always a frozen wasteland. Not even close. Buried deep, deep in the ice are clues to a world that you would not even recognize today. And this timeline is just wild. I mean, we've found fossils of giant marine reptiles from 70 million years ago, which proves this place was once warm and lush. Then you jump forward, and there's this really bizarre discovery from 2009. A fossil of a cat-like creature that, get this, laid eggs. And maybe the most shocking thing of all, we have hints that humans were here thousands of years ago. Yeah, back in 2014, researchers found the very first human remains ever discovered in Antarctica. But these were not just any skulls. They had been artificially elongated, stretched out. Now, this was a practice we know happened in ancient cultures in places like Egypt and Peru. Finding them here just opens up a flood of questions. Could there have been an ancient civilization living on this continent? Maybe one that was connected to others all across the globe. But Antarctica's secrets? They're not just about Earth's past. The continent has actually become this incredible place for finding messages from space, mainly because it's where they tend to land. Just think about this. In the last 50 years alone, scientists have found over 10,000 meteorites sitting on the ice. It makes sense, right? A dark rock is going to stand out perfectly against a giant white landscape. It makes Antarctica the best place on Earth to go meteorite hunting. And some of these things are millions of years old. And this is where things get really crazy. While most of these meteorites are from asteroids, scientists found one that they're sure came from Mars. And inside of it, they found these tiny structures that some researchers believe could be fossilized bacteria, offering these amazing clues about the possibility of ancient life on the red planet. And that connection to Mars goes even deeper. There's this part of Antarctica called the Dry Valleys. It hasn't rained there in 2 million years. You've got these insane winds that just scour the landscape, leaving it totally barren. The environment is so similar to Mars that NASA actually tested its Viking rover there before sending it to the real thing. Scientists have also found life, actual living things, in places they never dreamed it could exist, like in lakes buried miles beneath the ice. They've found bacteria that survive in total darkness, with 0 oxygen. We call them extremophiles, and they basically give us a blueprint for what kind of life might exist on other planets or moons out there that don't have sunlight or oxygen like we do. But for all the amazing things we've discovered, Antarctica keeps throwing us these profound mysteries, things that, even with all our modern science, we still struggle to explain. So, one of the most famous and just visually stunning mysteries is something called the Blood Falls. It looks exactly like it sounds. It's like the glacier itself is bleeding this deep crimson red right onto the ice. I mean, what on earth could possibly cause something like that? It was first discovered way back in 1911, and for more than 100 years, this thing totally baffled scientists. People guessed it was red algae or some other kind of stain, but the real answer, which we only figured out recently, is honestly far more incredible than any of the theories. Okay, so here's how it works. It all starts with a huge lake that's been trapped underneath the glacier for ages. Now, this water is super salty and it's absolutely packed with iron that it picked up from the rock below. When a crack lets some of that water escape, it hits the oxygen in our air for the very first time. And that iron, it instantly oxidizes. It literally rusts, and that's what stains the water that blood red color. So it's not blood, it's rust. How cool is that? But as amazing as that is, the continent's biggest mystery was found far, far away from the surface, in a place it had absolutely no right to be. An archaeology team was drilling into the ice, and they made a truly shocking discovery at a depth of 1,100 feet. It wasn't a meteorite. It wasn't a fossil of some known creature. It was something else entirely. What they found was a skeleton. It was 8 feet long, and its structure didn't match any known animal on Earth. Its bones were described as protruding from the body in a way that just defied all explanation. And after years and years of analysis, scientists still have absolutely no idea what this creature was, or where it came from. So you've got hints of ancient civilizations, bacteria from Mars, unidentifiable creatures. Antarctica is just this continent of secrets. It really makes you wonder, after all this time, after millions of years frozen solid, what else is still down there, perfectly preserved, just waiting for us to find it?